Obviously, tonight was a very tough night for us. Give Illinois a lot of credit. I thought we ran into a buzzsaw tonight. That was a butt kicking. In every sense of the word. The word. I just thought they threw the first punch, the second punch, the third punch, and we just never could get any sort of rhythm. We couldn't get any of the stops that we needed to get back into the game. Give their guys a lot of credit. Damask was fantastic, but I thought a lot of their guys were fantastic. They made good decisions. They took care of the ball. Guys made shots, and I felt like every time there was kind of a loose ball and a 50-50 ball and they got it, it ended up being a three. It was kind of our loose ball rebound, and those are the possessions that are real killers. But at the end of the day, you're not going to win any games giving up 96 points in this league. And a team shooting 63% from the field and 56 from three. So the story of the game was our inability to defend them. I mean, that's just and that happens sometimes. You play really good teams. There's nights where that happens. It's not fun to go through, and hopefully we'll learn from it and bounce back. You got to be resilient in this conference. It's everybody's good. On a night like night where you get your butt kicked, you can't flush it though. That's not, let's just flush this one. I don't believe in that. I think you got to understand why it happened. And then you got to try to correct things as you move on to the next game. But Illinois was fantastic, and they deserved to win. They played great.
Coach, the margin was wider tonight, but kind of last year this time you had a similar game against Ohio State. Do you see this as kind of a law of averages type night with Illinois shooting, or are there deeper problems you need to address?
Probably a little bit of combination of both. I mean, it's one thing when you have some breakdowns and some miscommunication on some things, but then they still have to make the shots. So that's where the combination. Sometimes you get away at times with some missed rotations or some, when guys aren't shooting the ball as well. But we paid for it tonight. Our defense was not good, and that's an area that we have to really address. And so that's where I don't want to say it's deep rooted, but we have to be better in that area. Like you just can't, we're not going to win any games if teams shoot 63% from the field. This league is just too good, and there's too many good players and coaches, and we're going to have to be much better on that end of the floor to give ourselves a chance.
Coach, obviously with Illinois, there's a size advantage when you're playing 4 out and more on the small ball. How much do you have to change, not the defensive philosophy, but maybe some of the rotations and the switches in order to get some more favorable rotations where maybe Boo isn't in a post-up situation?
Yeah, I mean, we tried to schematically. I mean, that's an action that they run a lot, with Damask, with Rogers, two bigger guys that like to back down and play off the wings. Very similar to what Pickett did. It's funny, they play very similar to Penn State last year, that how they use Pickett. They have the bigger guys, and it reminds me very similar of what Pickett would put you in, kind of those back down, I guess we call it booty ball around here. But, that's how they play, and it's very effective, when you have big, strong guys and that can back you down and get to spots. And especially, they had size advantage, give them credit. They got deep on us. They got into the paint. They got into the post. And then it causes help situations. And then they made good decisions. Damask got fouled a lot. He scored. But then when he didn't, he and Rogers really found cutters. They really passed the ball well, and guys made shots, which made it really hard to guard.
When you think about that matchup disadvantage with, again, a bunch of switchable wings on both sides of the ball, how much of that do you attribute to that being a matchup problem versus making fundamental changes going forward with running with a 4-guard lineup, running, at a very slow tempo?
Yeah, well, guys, we played this lineup last year. So, I mean, everyone's saying, Brooks played the same position last year that he's playing. So it's no different, and we were the best defensive team in the league. So, obviously, schematically, we have to continue to address, and we have to continue to get better. But a lot of it is fight. A lot of it is grit. A lot of it is 50-50 balls, defensive rebounds, loose balls, physicality. When we've been right defensively, even though we're a little bit undersized maybe with height, we have shown that we've played with some physicality, and we got they were much more physical than us tonight, and that's why it was a dominant advantage. And so every team is different. I mean, what Illinois presents, it's going to be a different challenge in your next game. Everybody's a little bit different with their personnel, a little bit different. I mean, we've played 2 games in the league. Like, we played Purdue. Obviously no one has what Edie has. Illinois plays a lot different than Purdue plays. As we move forward to the next game, Michigan State's going to play different than Illinois plays. So with each game, that's kind of the scheme that you have to kind of figure out what's going to be effective. How do we use our personnel against what they're trying to do? And it's kind of then who goes out and plays well. Tonight, we got crushed, and it was all because of what Illinois did, and give them credit for how they played.
Chris, obviously they're down an important player, but this offense, what does stress a defense with the personnel they have right now?
Yeah, like I was saying, when I was watching the film, it was reminding me so much when you have those guards that can really back down and get low, and they're poised and patient. It reminded me a lot of, as you're watching it, a lot of what you saw last year with Jalen Pickett. And then when guys shoot the ball so well, it's just different. You don't see that a ton at our level, to have those big, strong, and with Ryan, Shannon was doing it too. Used to have 3 guys, but now you still have 2 guys that are just really effective, where they're getting in spots, and then they're causing where you got to help because they're too big and strong. I mean, I don't care who you put on them, and what happens is because of their personnel, Coleman's ability to stretch the floor, it makes it very difficult because he can make threes, and you really don't have that presence down low. They string your big guy out. And then what you saw, though, a couple teams have tried to take their centers in past games and put them on maybe Quincy or one of the, and then they've taken, and then Quincy gets 20-something points. Tennessee tried to do that, and then he goes off. So that's what a good team does. They put you in a bind with mismatches. Brad's doing a really good job kind of maximizing what their talent is and kind of what their strengths are. To me, that's what I've always thought, that's what effective coaching is. Okay, who do we have, and how do we make it work with those pieces? And they're doing a good job putting you in a lot of tough situations with their offense.
Coach, Ryan Laneborg kind of looked out of sorts tonight.
Yeah.
Season low in points, second fewest minutes. Is he 100%, and what kind of led to those lows tonight?
Yeah, I just thought he had a tough night. I just thought he had a tough night. He's healthy, he's fine. It just happens. I know Ryan. He's a veteran guy. He's gonna bounce back. Just never was quite able to get anything going on either end tonight. And then the game got out of hand. When you get to the last 8 minutes, and you got to think in the long term too. We got another game coming up this week. It was very apparent there the last 7-8 minutes we weren't going to win. And so you got to be careful. That's why I didn't put Boo back in the game. There was no reason to. We got to bounce back, and we got to get ready for our next one. And I'm confident that Ryan will do that.
You've talked about kind of having that same forward guard system. Do you see the same defensive potential with, again, you're returning basically 4 or 5 starters, but Ryan's replacing Chase. Do you see the same defensive potential in the team with that replacement?
I do. I think I've seen it in stretches. We've had very good, we went out to Arizona and held Arizona State to 46 points. And we were physical and aggressive and really, and I'm not saying Arizona State's the team that Illinois is. I mean, Illinois obviously being a top 10 team, but we have shown that schematically, when we're in the right spots, when we have the right attitude, when we have the right mentality, and when we're dialed in, that we can be a solid defensive team. Obviously, when you take the defensive player of the year off the floor, you're going to miss some of that, his ability to get steals, his ability to guard guys one-on-one. But defense is still 5 guys. I always say defense, you can really see when a team is together because you have 5 guys playing as one. Because you have to on that end of the floor. And, tonight we just didn't have it. But I do, to answer your question, I do think we have the potential to be good on that end. And it's up to us as coaches and me to figure out how to get that out of our guys. Because that's going to be how we're going to be successful. I mean, we're not going to score 90 every game. We're not wired to do that. So we're going to have to be much better on the defensive end to give ourselves a chance to compete against the teams in our conference.
Chris, what did you think about Harmon tonight, number 4 off the
Yeah.
bench? And where was he in your report? And I know he gets 20 tonight, but his activity and maybe how
Yeah.
he's able to defend.
Yeah, good player. Good player. I mean, veteran guy. really shooting the ball well. You know, now 2 games in a row here, he was great. I mean, obviously he was in the scouting report. I mean, he coming off a game like he had about 20 in the last game, so you knew he was coming in hot. I just thought he did a good job. He was opportunistic. He got a couple of drives to the basket, layups, made 4 or 5 from 3, played solid D. You know, he's just a good veteran piece. You know, that's helping their depth. You know, he continues to play like that. You bring a guy like that off the bench, that's a real weapon to have.
Last one to the middle.
Coach, what's your message? Given you guys didn't really suffer a lot of these like losses of this magnitude recently, what's your messaging to Northwestern fans? And honestly, in those last 10 minutes with the game in hand, what was your message to the guys in the huddle?
To keep playing. You know, you have to be a pro, right? You play for 40 minutes regardless of what the score is. We've certainly had games like this every year, and even last year, the most successful season in the history of school, Pittsburgh beat us by 30-something, Ohio State beat us by 30-something. We've had plenty of those nights, and I think every team kind of has those. You as a coach aspire not to have those. They're not fun to go through while you're watching it, while you're seeing it happen. And it just gets you determined to kind of get back to the practice floor and make it better. We still have 18 games remaining. Okay, we're 10-3, and we're 1-1 in the conference. And a lot of people are going to lose in this building. This is a very tough place to play. We came here with the attitude to try to give ourselves a chance to win in a really tough atmosphere and a team that wins a lot at home, and we didn't get that done. And so we got to go back and get better, and we have a chance to play at home and hopefully get back on the right side of the ledger, you know, when we get a chance to play another game. So that was my message.